a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most are off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedledum, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay at home, Disney Dad.
Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. Hey, those are the lyrics. The Creek, World War I is the first story. There's some army, and they want Davy Crockett. They go looking for him in a canoe. They find him wrestling a bear, and no one can believe it, but that's just the way Davy Crockett rolls. They bring Crockett back to the General Andrew Jackson, 7th President of the United States of America. Anyone believe my Canadian ass knew that off the top of my head and didn't look it up first? He wants Crockett and Crockett's BFF to help them all find out what the Native Americans are currently doing. What a vague job description. So Crockett's like, all right, they all set out. Crockett and his buddy lead them into the wilderness. And keep in mind, they asked for Crockett and his pals' help. But like 5 minutes into this, Andrew's men immediately undermine him. And they're like, nah, we think you're doing this wrong. We're going to go this way. Let's split up and take the main road. And Crockett goes, you better give someone your address so they can send your wife a sad letter. Awesome. Davy Crockett burn. They find the Native American leader, Red Stick, and his man. Against Crockett's advice, Jackson's men just attack Red Stick and his army, and they aren't ready for the retaliation, and all the white guys get their kicked and captured. And for some reason, Crockett's like, well, I guess we have to go save them all now. Crockett saves them and pushes the Native Americans into retreat, and all the white guys hoot and holler like this is some sort of victory, like they didn't just this up from the start. They go back to Andrew Jackson himself, and they're like, yeah, we should probably go. So the entire camp packs up and leaves. They all go back to ambush Red Stick and his men, who were last seen, quote, doing a war dance. I'm going to assume that's not good for the white guys. They rush Red Stick and his men, and this is pretty impressive, honestly. There's hundreds of actors in this scene, and this fight feels legit, like a final battle. Big, there's stakes, big scene. I'll never get over these old-timey scenes with hundreds of extras and sick choreographed fight scenes. Good stuff. Red Stick got away, but there are bodies everywhere. Quote, my daughter asks, who are we supposed to be cheering for? And that is a loaded question, little girl. They go back to Andrew, and they're like, well, Red Stick got away, and lots of people are dead, but I'm going to go home now. Crockett wants to go home, and Andrew won't let him. He says, no, you're staying with us now, and together we'll go find Red Stick and end this. And Crockett's like, nah, and he leaves, and Andrew tells his men to prepare to fire on Crockett if he doesn't turn around and come back to help. Crockett cracks wise over his shoulder and makes the men look like because they do nothing. He returns to his family, and I swear they recycle this shot over and over of him coming home, but they didn't recycle this.
Well, reckon now's a good time as any to collect what I got coming.
Georgie Russell, what happened to you while you've been gone?
You ain't never gonna get a woman that way. Reckon I gotta learn you how.
And his real woman is all good to go as usual when he gets back, and he's like, but I gotta go back. And we get to story 2, where the song turns into Davy Crockett chasing the red. He meets up with some head honcho in some fort and says, good to see you, Davy. You too, Russell. All his men have swamp fever, and he has it too, and the Native Americans could be anywhere. He says, but I can't ask just you and Russell to head out alone. But they are just that brave, our Davy Crockett and Russell. They see baby alligators and draw attention to this shot of baby alligators for no reason, so I know something's up. And then they find, quote, moccasin footprints, maybe 2 days old, and the shoes look worn. And all right, Davy, I think you're full of shit. Regardless, Russell looks up to him like he's this god. Oh my god, you know so much, you're so smart. Making it up, Russell. Through the magic of editing, Davy Crockett fights an alligator. Then they capture Russell, and they're going to burn him like the Native Americans. Crockett comes out of the jungle, and he wants a truce. And Red Stick says,
You talk like woman. You talk like woman. You talk like woman. You talk like woman. You talk like woman.
Awesome. Red Stick shows Crockett his collection of white man scalps. Jesus Christ. And Crockett challenges him to some sort of Native American law. And Red Stick says, "You're no Native American." Love this guy. And Crockett says, "So?" And that's enough for Red Stick to agree to it, and they fight. And I'm noticing a reoccurring theme in these shows. I will say again, though, these fight scenes are just always impressive. But of course, in the end, Crockett is just too tough. He's just too much of a man. And he could kill Red Stick, but he lets him go. And promises if Red Stick and his tribe join the treaty, the government will let them go back and live on the land and leave them alone. And Red Stick says, "The government lies." And Crockett goes, "Yes, but I don't." And they shake on it. Good stuff. Crockett comes back home and it's winter, so his wife is even colder and lonelier. Now, passage of time, he's leaving again. That's all. Every episode starts with him leaving and ends with him coming home and leaving again. He and Russell ride off again, looking for a new place to move and to settle down. And his wife says, "Russell, you better come back with more of those tall tales of adventure." And he goes, "I can feel one coming on already." Russell and Crockett's woman are 100%. 100%. They meet up with some country yokel, and we do the usual, let's have a shooting test, and they all think Crockett sucks, but it turns out he's awesome, and he makes them all look foolish. One of the guys' name is Bigfoot, and he's the one lying to the Aboriginal people about getting their land back. He says they'll get their land back, then he just takes it, and he's just a bad guy, right? Everyone else is like, "Crockett, you gotta become magistrate here and put Bigfoot in his place." He says, "I just want to build a cabin and move my family here." And they say, "I reckon ain't no place for a family until you get Bigfoot sorted out." We meet, quote, Charlie Two-Shirt? Is that his name? He's hiding in the bushes with his family because Bigfoot kicked them out of their land even though they had papers. Crockett's like, "Alrighty, I'm the new magistrate." And he walks up to Bigfoot and is like, "You and I are going to throw hands." And Bigfoot and him just take turns punching each other back and forth, and both are bloody in no time. And Bigfoot throws sand in his eyes like in the movies and tries to suplex him, but he can't get him over. And of course, you know what happens after a long back and forth. Crockett is just too manly of a man. He kicks Bigfoot's ass, and then his minions go, "What are you going to do with us?" And he goes, "You two are going to stand trial." His name is Bigfoot Mason, and that's an amazing name. I pray to get a name like Bigfoot Mason someday. Settlers move into this place, and everything is great. Everyone's happy. Everyone's celebrating. Then Crockett gets a telegram. Wife's dead. Damn, legit. Polly's dead. Probably from horny overdose. His kids are living with his sister-in-law. Hey now. Dead wife. Wife's sister. But he continues on his campaign for running for mayor of this town or whatever, magistrate. Is that a real title? I'm not sure if we've pivoted now or not, but we've turned this into a political drama. There's all these men trying to make Andrew Jackson the next president, and I thought he already was. I'm absolutely lost. I barely follow current Canadian politics, let alone old-time U.S. politics. They want Crockett to run for Congress, and he's like, "If I were to do this, if I get elected, I would take directions not from you, but from the people who elected me." And I'm fighting through this, folks. I'm sorry. I do love the song, though, the lyrics. Sometimes the lyrics progress the story instead of Disney actually shooting the scenes. They sing about him going to Washington, but they don't shoot it. And then now the audio is messed up. The boom mic stopped working. It's all hollow and empty. The audio is just being recorded on the actual cameras, not any sort of professional audio recorder.
My father can lick any man in Kentucky, and I can lick my father.
Let's look up the synopsis on Wikipedia. Crockett is convinced to run for state legislature against Amos Thorpe, a corrupt politician in league with men trying to claim Cherokee lands, who is running unopposed. He then receives a letter from his sister-in-law telling him that his wife has died of a fever. Okay, Crockett wins the election handedly and becomes a popular member of the Tennessee General Assembly. He reunites with Norton and Andrew Jackson, who is running for president of the United States, and convinces him to run for the United States House of Representatives. After he enters Congress, Norton, trying to pass a bill to usurp Native American treaty lands, has Crockett embark on a speaking tour across the eastern United States to distract him, but Russell learns of the bill and brings Crockett back to Washington to argue against it. Crockett tears up the bill, tears it in half before leaving, ending his political career. That was episode 2. Let's start 3. Crockett is drinking in the bar and he wants to go to Texas, and some smooth-talking riverboat gambler wants Davy to be his muscle. He wants to join his circus or whatever. They get on horses and they ride for 3 minutes, and then they are in Texas, just like that. The Native Americans notice them, and then this music starts. And this is so dramatic that the usual dramatic music would be like, damn, this is dramatic. Some indigenous man riding a horse is riding straight for like a prairie dog hole. Like Crockett can somehow see the future and see how this horse is gonna do this like 1 in a million chance and step his hoof into this little hole, and Crockett could just see it though coming. He could telegraph this, and sure enough, the horse somehow from like 30 feet away steps directly into the prairie dog hole and trips, and the rider falls off, and Crockett and his men just swarm this guy and kick the shit out of this guy, and then they just jokes. They pick him up and they make a fire and they all cook some meat together. So now this ragtag group of Crockett and Russell and the riverboat gambler take this new guy that fell off his horse as their guide. There's a horse riding chase montage. They're getting shot at by some other army, and they make it to this fort and they get taken in. Some guy in the fort is coughing and he's sick. He's like coughing all over them, and he's like, "We're so close to losing Texas. Thank God you're here. How many men did you bring, Davy Crockett? 1,000? 2,000? Crockett goes, "Well, I reckon I brought 4. Coffee Cofferton says they have 200 men, and Crockett's like, "Are the 200 men stubborn?" Basically, the story is that they're all holed up in this fort with no men, and they're running out of food, and they're running out of ammo, and now Russell has turned on him. That night, Russell bounces, like he just runs out of the fort and makes a break for it. Okay, I feel a swerve or something. Colonel James Bowie is the guy with the cold, and things are getting bleak here. I looked this one up again. This is the Alamo. What? For the record, okay, the Aboriginal guy here's name is Busted Luck. I guess Russell ran for help. He comes back and he says, "No one's helping us. There's no help coming." Yikes, they make an actual line in the dirt and they say, "Those who want to stay and defend the fort cross the line. Everyone else can go home." Of course, they all cross the line. It's the Mexican troops that are trying to get in here and kill them, I guess. Russell and Davy get a guitar and they sing a song, and then they all go to bed and they're like, "Well, might be our last night alive." It's morning and the Mexican army arrives. They're trying to take over the fort, but they're holding them back. They're doing a good job. Passage of time, the Mexican army regroups. It's round 2. The Mexican army gets in, and it's a massacre. All the main characters are legit getting killed. Russell, Bowie, Busted Luck, all of them. What am I watching? We fade out as the troops surround a swinging Crockett, and then they sing, "We'll always remember the Alamo." Is that what actually happened at the Alamo? Let's look it up. The Battle of the Alamo, February 23rd to March 6, 1836, was a pivotal 13-day siege during the Texas Revolution, where a small Texan force, including Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie, was defeated by the Mexican army under General Santa Anna. Roughly 200 Texas defenders were killed during the final assault, but their defense became a rally cry for Texas independence. That's actually what happened at the Alamo. Davy Crockett died. Davy Crockett was a real person, and he died at the Alamo. This Canadian finds that absolutely fascinating. I had no idea.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel that he's allowed to be employed for so long with the standards of journalism and personal appearance that he has. Thank you.